Hello, and welcome to the Trepa Technologies Security Plus course. My name is Johnny Bandon, and I will be your instructor for this video series. This video will cover Domain 2.7 Physical Security. Now let's get started. When people think of cybersecurity, they always think of technical implementations like anti-malware, firewalls, or data loss prevention. While these technical solutions are an important component of a defense in-depth approach, physical security is also a crucial component of your security approach. Physical security implementations have a control purpose, right? That means that physical security can either be a preventative, detective, or deterrent control. So to put this all together, right? Physical security is an important part of securing your enterprise because what is the number one thing we don't want? An insider threat. We don't want someone having access that doesn't need access. But how do we stop someone from just walking into our compounds and walking into the research and development department? Well, we got to implement physical security. And this is something I think often overlooked by cybersecurity professionals because you want to be technical, right? We got into tech to get on that firewall and make those access lists, to deploy antivirus, anti-malware, to do our threat hunts, right? But this is an important component, and we must go over it. And in these slides, you may think they're kind of boring, which they kind of are, because it's just describing different physical security concepts and then what type of control they are, whether that's preventative, deterrent, corrective, deterrent, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Bollards are preventive controls to prevent moving vehicles from entering an area. You'll see these on sidewalks, right? And again, they are a preventative control. Access control vestibules are preventative and detective controls for people trying to tailgate or piggyback into a secure area. So you see here, there's two doors that you must go through to get to the secure area, right? You see that badge reader right there. And then maybe this is leading into that secure area. This is a preventative control to stop people from tailgating or piggybacking. Then also detective, because now you got that person trapped in that door. So now you can see them. And then we have badges. Badges are used as preventative and also detective controls. And these are going to be used to control access to secure areas. Badges are going to use proximity readers and RFID technology for that access control. So here's a badge right here, right? And then you see this badge reader opens that door for the person if that badge says that they have access. Then we have alarms. Alarms are a detective and a deterrent control that will alert a guard or remote system that there is motion or movement in an area. So that's detective or deterrent. And then we have signage. So signage is designed to deter people from entering a secure area. And then this is very simple. This is guard on duty, even though they have a little chihuahua, right? Signage is just signs telling people to stay out, right? And then we have cameras. Cameras are a part of a CCT system that records an area in your work center. So cameras are devices that can either record or be set off by motion and start recording. And they are pretty much every control, right? They're preventative because if someone sees them, may not want to enter. They're detective because they're going to be able to detect somebody. And then they're deterrent also because someone that may see it may deter them a little bit, but it's not fully stopping them like a fence would, right? Or a bollard will physically stop. So cameras are considered all three types of controls. And then we have CCTV, which stands for closed circuit television. This is a system or camera monitor and motion recognition system used by security teams to detect threat actors. There are also preventative, detective, and deterrent controls. And they should be constantly monitored. And then industrial camouflage. This is a preventative control that designs sensitive buildings like a top secret SCIF to look like a typical building in the surrounding area. So this prevents anyone from thinking it's a SCIF or sensitive area and doing reconnaissance, right? Because it just looks like a regular old business building or office. And then personnel. So people are also a form of physical security, right? Having roaming guards or guards at checkpoints or even a reception desk for physical control and movement of people coming in and out of your building. This is also a preventative, detective, or deterrent control. And then we have locks. Locks are a physical control that prevents threat actors from stealing hardware. So this is a preventative and a deterrent control. Locks can secure buildings or individual devices. You can even have computer locks attached to someone's desk, and they may have a key they may need to sign out from, let's say, your guard post to bring their computers with them home. Lighting is a detective and deterrent control that can supplement motion detection and spot intruders at night or in dark places of your warehouse or your building. And then we have fencing. Fencing is a deterrent control and preventative control, and I'll write that on there, that we can install to protect the perimeter of your workplace. A fence is usually the first line of defense for physical security, and it's also a preventative control because depending on what kind of fence you have, that may completely stop someone from entering an area, right? And then we have fire suppression. This is a physical control that is corrective because this will stop a disaster from spreading like a fire. So I'll write that corrective control. Then we have sensors. Sensors are a part of other physical security controls. For example, a proximity reader will use sensors to communicate to the physical access control server, right? So sensors are also going to be considered a detective control. And going over a few more physical security controls, visitor logs. So visitor logs are typically used as security guards or when you're escorting personnel into a secure area. Visitor logs are a good way to track who comes in and out of an area, and they are considered a detective control. A Faraday cage is a purpose-built enclosure to stop RF or wireless signals from leaving or reaching a wireless device. This is considered preventative control because it completely stops any signal from leaving or getting to a device. And then we have an air gap. An air gap is a physical separation of devices or networks. Now, this isn't a logical segmentation like a VLAN. An air gap completely separates different networks. This is typical when segmenting a SCADA or ICS system from the enterprise. And this is also considered a preventative control. And then we have hot and cold aisles. So this is temperature regulation. And this is a technique designed to optimize temperature and airflow in data centers. And why is this part of a cybersecurity exam? Again, because that CIA triad, where availability. If our data centers are overheating and our systems are shutting down, that means they're not available, which is a concern for cybersecurity professionals. Some more physical detection. Or physical destruction, actually. Excuse me. So, destroying data and hardware is also a crucial part of physical security. Suppose you have hard drives or paperwork that contain sensitive data. You don't just want to throw them in the dumpster because then a threat actor could potentially steal that sensitive data that you intended to throw away. So, in the following slides, we'll discuss different ways to destroy your data, and this could be paperwork or hard drives. So, burning is a preventative control that you can use to burn documents. For hard drives, you can use burning, but you're going to have a high flame point, right, to make hard drives unusable again. Then we have pulping. Pulping is using water to destroy sensitive documents, and it's a preventative control. And pulping is used a lot of times on ships and boats, right? Because you can't just start a fire on a boat. At least I don't think you should. And this completely destroys any document, right? And then we have pulverizing. This will break hardware into little pieces to prevent the recovery of data. Also a preventative control. Then we have degaussing, which will magnetically wipe data from tapes or hard drives. And since this is magnetic, degaussing will not work on SSDs. To properly destroy solid state drives, you can shred them or you can just pulverize them as well. So you also have shredding that isn't in this slide as another form of data destruction. And this is cheap and easy, and it is a preventative control. All right, so thank you for viewing this video, guys. I want you to stay tuned for our next video where we'll discuss Domain 2.8 cryptography concepts. Thank you for viewing.